right. Well, again, appreciate you being on. I've been really excited about this interview. Just getting to spend some time with you. I know a lot of our younger leaders out there are excited to hear from you as well. So here's one question I want to hit you with right away. Let me read it out. What is one piece of practical advice you would give to someone early on in leadership?
I think that you should focus on the whole idea of delegation and using your subordinates. A lot of young leaders don't understand how important it is in the development process of their own people for them to be given certain responsibilities, certain authorities. It also helps you as a leader when you're not micromanaging, but in fact, when you're using your people, it helps you as the leader to have more time to develop a vision and to be prepared to cast that vision. But I think that micromanagers are probably one of the most frustrating things that I've ever contended with. I've worked for a few, and I've had a few that were my subordinates, and their people are never properly developed because they've never been given the opportunity to fail. I know that sounds bizarre, but you got to be willing to underwrite failure when it stays within moral, legal, and ethical bounds. If that failure was someone trying to do the right thing because you gave them an opportunity, you've got to be prepared to underwrite that. So don't be a micromanager. Learn to use your people, learn to confer with your people, and learn to develop them by allowing them the opportunity to fail. And that's
Wow,
not
that's
failure is not the intent. Don't misunderstand.
yeah. No, that's unbelievable advice. I think there's going to be a lot of listeners out there that truly appreciate that. Someone that has had such a long and successful career as yours and in high leadership capacities. Appreciate that answer. All right, let me do one more, and then we'll go on back to you, Dad. What is the most important leadership lesson you've learned, and how is it valuable?
Yeah, this may surprise some of your people on this call today, but the most important lesson that I have learned is to listen. We have a lot of leaders that think that they've got to fix everything, and a lot of times, no, they just need to listen. They also need to listen when they're developing their vision, when they're developing their guidance. They need to listen to their subordinates, those around them. They need to listen. I don't know. Most of us have probably been in a situation where we sat down with someone that, let's say, was our superior, and we wanted to talk about something very serious. And the moment you start talking, their lips start quivering because they are dying to take over the conversation. They want to talk. They want to do the talking. They want to either show you how erudite they are, or they want to fix the problem and get you out of their office. And they don't know how to listen. Listening takes practice. There's an art to listening. And there are a number of things that I think you can learn in leadership classes about being a good listener, but one of them is sitting there with your eyes on the person that's talking and letting them finish their thought, letting them finish what they are saying, and don't interrupt them all the way through. Let them finish. You can stop them for a question if you didn't understand something, but we don't have a lot of listeners in many of the leadership positions in this country because they want to fix things. So I would say to you, learn how to listen to the people around you.
Wow. Um, both of those answers for both questions are, I kind of expected something along those lines, but that last one, listening, is as simple as that is to hear. Sometimes it's harder to do for sure for many people. And as young leaders or just anyone going into leadership roles, that's excellent advice. Thank you.
You bet.
Appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Jim, and thank you, Jerry. One of the things that I was thinking about just listening to the questions and your answer is that I think that when we're younger, perhaps what we do is we define competency by doing, and we receive love when we maybe do something well. And working with people and through people is a much higher skill level. So I think in many times we just don't realize what leadership is. I know that I still struggle with both of those. Uh, I know that I'm still not delegating the way that I need to be delegating, and I'm not exactly the young kid on the block, and I still have to look at that every day. Gerald, I'm going to ask you to do something that I think is important, and I'm going to ask you a question at the same time. The first thing I'd like you to do is, I went on Wikipedia the other day just to look you up, and I needed to take about 3 breaks in the reading because of how long the the description is. Obviously, you have lived a life of incredible accomplishment and leadership, and you've served our country and our highest ideals. And you're also a Christian, you're a believer. And I respect you a lot. I would like you to introduce yours before I'm gonna pivot here in a minute. But before you dive into the content, I'd like you to maybe take 60 seconds or a couple minutes, and even though it feels weird to talk about ourselves, let people know who you are if they haven't heard of you, and however you would describe it. I think that would be helpful. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a risk, and here's the risk. I'm troubled today. I'm troubled for a lot of reasons. I try not to walk the path of fear for my grandchildren, but that's where my mind goes when I think about things that bother me about our country. And yet, when I talk to people, I don't see much debate. I don't see much healthy debate, much healthy argument. It feels to me like there's this big wall or gap or chasm in our country, and grenades are being thrown from one side to the other. And I think what I'm getting at is I would like for you to share with us from your perspective, what is going on in America? And can you educate us, whether I would call myself right wing or left wing or moderate? If you could just educate us, that would be grateful. So I'm going to shut up, and because people are going to be tuning into this to hear you, not me.
Well, thank you very much, Jim. And it's good, again, I say it's good to be with you. And I haven't seen you in a while, so
Yeah.
we've talked a lot, but I haven't actually seen you. And
Right.
I don't know why you haven't aged as much as I have. That's a puzzle to me. But let me say to all the people on this, that I'm going to talk to you today about what I call trouble in the land. And it's exactly what you're talking about, Jim. And I don't mean this to be partisan. I'm just going to tell you the truth, and let the cards fall where they may. But whether you're on the right or the left, a Republican, a Democrat, or an independent, is really regardless of that. I'm just going to give you some stuff that I want you to think about. And then after you've thought about that, then do your own research, and I think you'll find out that what I'm telling you is factual today.